عليك الشيخ. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا. اللهم زدنا علما إنك أنت عليم الحكيم. اللهم اجعل هذه المحاضرة حجة لنا لا حجة علينا يا رب العالمين. أما بعد. This is our, I think, 6th class. Kitab al-Salat, the book of Salat. This is a book from Abu Najah, Imam al-Hajjawi, rahimahullah ta'ala, in his book Zaad Al-Mustaq'ni, Today, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to cover the description of the Salat, the description of the prayer. And so today, alhamdulillah, we have a brother that's willing to show everyone the proper steps that needs to be done in terms of actions in the salat to make it visual, as well as you can understand it and you can also see it. You can understand it and you can also see it. This is extremely beneficial, especially when we're talking about something that is so important. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, أول ما يسأل عنه العبد يوم القيامة الصلاة. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said the first thing a slave will be asked about on the day of judgment is the salat. So then, Kitab al-Salat, or the book of Salat, is very important for the Muslim. It's very important because it's the first thing that we'll be asked about in Yawm al-Qiyamah. So today, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to cover, inshallah, the description of the Salat according to the school of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Intabihu, pay attention. There are many books, as many of us may be familiar with a book that is widely spread in our communities, the prescribed prayer from Sheikh Al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala. As this is a book that even I studied myself prior to going overseas to study. And alhamdulillah, it's an excellent work by the Sheikh rahimahullah. However, you'll find that many scholars, for example, they may not actually take the positions that he took. And so a lot of times, the way we understand where we come from, if you're not doing what I'm doing, I'm following this book. That means you're following your desires if you're not doing what I'm doing. This is a problem. And so this is why it's important when we study certain issues of the religion, we understand the sources where we get this information from. This information is not from myself. This is over 1,000 years. Over 1,000 years. Go back to the Sahaba and other than them. And they differed on some issues with regards to the Salah. And this is a benefit because we understand that in Islam, we have allowable differences. Things that are okay. It's not a problem to differ in regards to certain aspects of our faith. This happens. There are differences of opinion on some things that are allowable. So in this description of the salat, you may hear things, you may see things that you may not have heard before. It's okay. It's from the religion. No problem. Just because you haven't heard of it or just because you're not familiar with it doesn't mean it's incorrect. It just means you just don't know. It means you just don't know. So we started briefly on it last week, and we'll quickly run through some of the things we covered last week, and then we'll catch up to today, inshallah ta'ala. Akhi Kareem, can you come up here, inshallah? Not now, but just sit right here with me. So when We're going to turn the camera on to him when we start doing some of the different actions. If people have questions, you can ask. But today's class, inshallah, is more hands-on, so we need people to look and participate because this is our salat. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to be questioned, I'm going to be questioned, we're all going to be questioned about how we pray. طيب. قال المصنف رحمه الله تعالى, he says, يُسَنُّ الْقِيَامُ عِنْدَ قَدْرٍ مِنْ إِقَامَتِهَا. And we did this last week. He said it is sunnah. If we notice, when it's time for the prayer, the mu'adhin, he calls the iqamah, or he calls the iqamah. Allahu Akbar, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, hayya ala salah, hayya ala al-falah, qad iqamah to salah. When you say qad iqamah, this qad here, it says this is when they actually stand up to come to the salah. Now, according to the madhab, according to the school of jurisprudence of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, as soon as you see the imam, before the iqamah, you can stand for the salah, or stand for the prayer. Well, there. Before you even see the imam come out, you can actually stand for them. And this is a position of many of the salaf as well. This is a position of many of the salaf as well. As I remember at one point when I was here at this masjid a lot more, brothers would complain, why are there brothers standing up before they call the iqamah? Ya ikhwan, chill. They have some evidence to support that. We have evidence to support that. And the more knowledge we have of our religion, then the less likely we are to have conflict. However, conflict comes when people are ignorant. You have two people arguing over something that neither one of them know anything about. And this is another point. When it comes to issues like this, it's always important to understand the definitions of terms being used. Perhaps we're arguing over a term, but to me the term means this, and to you it means something else. So we're already at odds because the rules of engagement, we haven't agreed on the rules of engagement. We haven't agreed on how we're going to have this discourse. We disagree on the word and how it means, and so we're arguing over that. Wait, let's identify the meaning of the word. What is qad iqamah? So what does that mean? Once we understand that, then we move to the next phase, and then the next phase, and then the next phase. So then, the Shaykh Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he says, وَتَصْفِيَةُ الصَّفِّ وَيَقُولُ اللَّهُ أَكْبَرُ. So, when they call the iqamah, the first rank is filled. Taswiyat al-saf. Taswiyat al-saf, al-sufuf. Yani, it just means tighten the ranks. Foot to foot, shoulder to shoulder, to the end of it. However, some scholars differ. Are you supposed to touch your feet? Yes, no, maybe so. There are a lot of kalam. There's a lot of kalam on that. And those who read Arabic and would like to read more about it, you have a book from Sheikh Bakr Abu Zayd, rahimahullah, La Jadida fi Salah. He talks about touching and not touching. For those who raise those questions, is it sunnah or not? There are books written about that as well. And also you can find numerous narrations about different aspects of the salah. And there's another book, I'm just adding more information, but there's another book we have called The Musannifin. The Musannifin, there are two books, Ibn Abi Shayba and Abdul Razak al-San'ani. These two books, they give you fiqh of the Sahaba. They give you fiqh of the Sahaba. How did the Sahaba move? We have these ahadith, but how did the Sahaba implement these hadith? How did they understand these hadith? What were their actions as a result of this hadith being narrated? Do you understand? So, understanding fiqh of the deen, it has to go back to the companions. So then, taswiyat al-saf. Foot to foot, shoulder to shoulder. Wa yaqul Allahu Akbar. So the first thing, the person that is praying, he says, Allahu Akbar. Rafi'an yadayhi. Rafi'an yadayhi, and I'll show them this part. Rafi'an yadayhi, with your fingers and your hands together like this. Madmumatay asabi mamduda hadwa mankibay. This here is considered the mankibay, the shoulders, right? Hadwa mankibay, yani close to, like this. Allah, not like this, not like this, like this. Easy, right? So it says, وَيُسْمِعُ الْإِمَامِ مَنْ خَلْفَهُ كَقِرَاءَتِهِ فِي أُولَتَيْ غَيْرُ ظَهْرَيْنِ وَغَيْرُهُ نَفْسُهُ. All right, we went through this part about listening to the recitation of the Imam. The one who, obviously the Imam that is praying in the Salat al-Jahariya, for example, Fajr, Maghrib, and Isha, he should be heard. As far as the ma'moom, meaning the one that is praying behind the imam, قَدْرَ يُسْمَ نَفْسُهُ, يعني he should hear himself, not with a loud voice, but something to himself so that he or she can hear themselves. ثُمَّ يَقْبِضُ الْكُوعَ يُسْرَى تَحْتَ سُرَّتِهِ. We spoke about this in great detail last week, about the permissibility of actually holding your hands below your navel. Below your navel. And this is also considered a sunnah, as we find Ali ibn Abi Talib and others from the companions actually doing this. And we find even many of the ulama today, many of the scholars today, the modern scholars that many brothers take from, they do this, they pray this. So as for today, and when we say yaqbid al-qur', ya akhwan, is the wrist. When he prays, he holds his wrist like this, or she holds her wrist like this. Either open like this or like this. There's no such thing, there's no report that a person grabs their elbow. You don't say Allahu Akbar and grab your elbow. There's no text that supports grabbing the elbows or, So we don't do that. As for today, then we're going to start with the statement. The Shaykh Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he says, Yanduru masjadahu. Yanduru masjadahu. Masjadahu, it means the place where he or she is making sujood. So when you're standing in the rank or you're standing by yourself, you say Allahu Akbar, you put your hands where they're supposed to be. What do you do with your eyes? Do you wander all over the place? La. You look at the place where you're going to make sujood. You look at the place where you're going to make sujood. Why is that? Why do you look into the place you're going to make sujood? We find in Surah Al-Mu'minun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Is the second verse in Surah Al-Mu'minun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Those who in their salat, they have khashya, they have fear of Allah. So before this ayah was revealed in the Quran, we found that the Sahaba, we found this in many narrations, the Sahaba, when they would pray in the ranks, they would look in the sky when they would pray. They would look in the sky. They would look around when the Salat came, they would be praying and looking in the sky. And then when this verse in the Quran was revealed, they understood from this verse that we need to look to the place where we're going to make prostration to. And if anyone wants to look that up, that is in the tafsir of the second ayah in Surah Al-Mu'minun. The tafsir of the second ayah in Surah Al-Mu'minun. Right. So now we get back to the Salat. So while that Muslim is standing here in prayer, and when we say Muslim here, we're referring to the men and the women. When we separate from the men and the women, inshallah, we'll make a distinction. For the women is this and for the men is this. But in general, it's for everyone. So the first thing, يقول سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك تبارك اسمك تعالى وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك. This is a dua al-istiftah. Dua al-istiftah. This means when a person says Allahu Akbar, they begin the salat, they put their right hand over their left. What do they say? After they look at their place of prostration, they make this dua. They make this dua, magnifying and glorifying Allah, praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the end of it. And once that's done, ثُمَّ يَسْتَعِيذُ. Now, this person, once he makes the dua al-istiftah, this is for the first rak'ah. They're going to make this dua al-istiftah. Now, this class here is not designed to teach you the dua al-istiftah, nor the tashahhud to the end of it. However, if anyone wants to learn that, we'll do something separate, specifically focusing on those two things. Is that clear? Specifically focusing on those two things. So then, a person, they say Allahu Akbar, and then they make the dua al-istiftah. Subhanaka Allahumma to the end of it. Once they finish that, وَيَسْتَعِيذُ, and they seek refuge in Allah. أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ ثُمَّ يُبَسْمِلُ. Thumma, after that, you make the basmala. After that, you make the basmala sirran. You say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and this is in the first ayah, the first rak'ah, and you do it sirran. You do it silently, not out loud. وَلَيْسَتْ مِنَ الْفَاتِحَةِ. And Imam al-Hajjawi, he makes sure to mention that the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is not from al-Fatiha. Now, why would he mention that? Because we have people, we have another school of Imam al-Shafi'i, And some of them, they consider the basmala to be from Al-Fatiha. They consider the basmala to be from Al-Fatiha. For example, if you guys ever seen someone pray, say Allahu Akbar, they lead in the Salat, and they'll say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, to the end of it. This is because they consider the basmala to be part of Al-Fatiha. And there's some difference of opinion from the Salaf, from the scholars of the past, all the way up until today with regards to that. If you pray behind someone that does that, do not write how this person is an innovator. Rather, we have people from the Salaf that did the exact same thing. Well, is that clear? طيب. ثم يقرأ الفاتحة. Now, the most important surah in the Quran is the Al-Fatiha. The ulama mentioned the most important surah in the Quran is the Al-Fatiha. A person must know how to recite Al-Fatiha. As they say, it's the afdalu surah fil Quran. They say it's the best surah in the Quran. They say Ayatul Kursi is the best ayah in the Quran, but the best surah is Surah Al-Fatiha. So then the Shaykh Rahimahullah, he gives rules of reciting Al-Fatiha. He's going to give the Mubtilat Al-Fatiha, the things that will nullify a person's Al-Fatiha in their Salah. Mind you, if your Al-Fatiha is nullified, that means your what is nullified? Your prayer. Ahsant. This shows the importance of the Al-Fatiha. So it says, فَإِن قَطَعَهَا. So, if you're reciting Al-Fatiha and it is cut off for a number of reasons. So he mentions about 5 reasons here. Number 1, بِذِكْرٍ أَوْ سُكُوتٍ غَيْرُ مَشْرُوعٍ. So he mentions 2 things. Let's say, for example, a person is praying or reciting Al-Fatiha. He says, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And he says, Yarhamukallah, somebody sneezed. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. This here nullifies the Salat. He's praying Al-Fatiha to himself, and the kid, hey, get over there. He makes some type of noise, something to take away from that. This here nullifies that Al-Fatiha. Well, there. If a person, now, what type of, it says, Laylu Mashru'ain, that has not been legislated. Is there any type of mentioning that could be legislated outside of Al-Fatiha in the Salah? Let's say, for example, a person is praying, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin. And then he stops and he thinks, Malik Yawmiddin, subhanAllah. You know, he's thinking like this type to themselves. This is no problem. This here is no problem to themselves because they're thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this case with that ayah. And this is what many of the ulama of al-Islam, when they mention this, let's say, for example, Kasu'al Rahma in the Tilawat al-Quran. Rahma. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And you ask Allah for His mercy. Oh Allah, grant me mercy. For example. Right? The next thing is a sukut tawil. If a person is silent, let's say, for example, a person is praying by himself. He says Allahu Akbar and he starts reciting Al-Fatiha, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, and then he stops. And he stops. A minute, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And then he comes back, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawm. This breaks your Salah. This breaks your Salah. Why? Because there's a pause here in the Al-Fatiha that is longer than it needs to be. Well, is there a pause when reciting Al-Fatiha that you're allowed to pause and then come back and complete it? Is that question clear? Is there a pause? Can a person pause in their Salah and then come back and complete their Al-Fatiha and it does not nullify their Salah? Huh? Do you understand the question? Is the question clear? Who said no? Okay, let's say, for example, we're praying in the Salah. Allahu Akbar. You're praying by yourself. Okay? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, and then you stop. 5 minutes later or 2 minutes later, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin, and yet you pick up where you left off. This here will nullify your Salah. This here will nullify your Salah. Now let's say, now my question is there an instance like this where you pause like that and it does not nullify your Salah? Yes. Give us an example. We're talking about reciting Al-Fatiha. So if you saw a child, you can't stop reciting. You can still move though. You can move in your salat while you're reciting. Alhamdulillah, and then move them out the way. You can do that. We're talking about pausing from reciting.
Maybe by sneezing.
That's different. That's a small amount of pause. We're talking about a pause. So, okay, so here's when it is permissible. Let's say, for example, the imam is leading the salat. Many ulama say that even the ma'mumeen, the ones that are praying behind the imam, they must also recite Al-Fatiha. So, the scholars of Al-Islam say they recite Al-Fatiha fi sakatat al-imam. Fi sakatat al-imam. That means in the parts of the prayer where the imam is silent. So let's say, what does that look like? I'm leading the salat, Allahu Akbar. Before I start praying, I'm doing my dua istiftah. I'm doing my ta'awwadh billah. And I'm saying Bismillah, and then I'm starting. During that time, if you're praying behind this imam, you can start your Al-Fatiha. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman. This is by the ma'mumeen. Not loud so everyone can hear you, just to yourself. And then the imam starts, Alhamdulillah, then you can't recite while the imam is reciting, so you pause. And then when he finishes, Waladdallin Ameen, there's going to be another pause. And then you complete your Al-Fatiha. This is legislated in Islam. This type of pausing in Al-Fatiha is legislated. Is that clear?
It's clear. I thought the way the question come in, I thought you was like pray by yourself. By yourself. That was the question. Yeah.
So if you're praying by yourself, there wouldn't be no imam. So okay.
I thought the question was just by yourself.
So maybe I put it out the wrong way. Let's say if you're praying in Jama'ah in this case.
Right.
Okay? Like,
you mean to say when the imam starts and while he's doing the dua, you can start your Fatiha before the imam?
yes.
Silently.
Right.
So the brother asked, he said, are you saying that you can actually start your Al-Fatiha before the imam starts the Al-Fatiha? The answer is yes. However, you cannot recite while the imam is reciting. You cannot recite Al-Fatiha while the imam is reciting. Right. So, the next issue that will nullify your salat, أو ترك منها تشديدا. This is very, very, very important. In Al-Fatiha, if a person says, Iyaka na'budu, Iyaka. The term Iyaka, if you say Iyaka, 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 this will nullify your salah. The word is Iyaka, is a shadda. Iyaka, not Iyaka. Why would this nullify the salah? According to the school of Imam Ahmed and others. A tajdeed, for example, a person, you take away from the word, you take away from the letters. You take away from it. Iyaka. Iyaka. The word is Iyaka na'budu. Iyaka. And this is why it's very important for a person to learn how to recite Al-Fatiha. Sometimes it's possible that many of us may be shy or embarrassed to admit that we don't know. So, due to us being embarrassed or shy to learn, we will intentionally invalidate our salat possibly. We can possibly intentionally not learn something that we have the ability to learn. What is going to be our excuse on Yawm al-Qiyamah? I was too shy to ask the brother. I was too shy to ask the sister. I thought I knew. Many people think they know. I realize, and as we continue, we'll even cover the tashahhud. You realize many people don't even know the tashahhud. But no one hears you recite to the tashahhud, so it's easy to get that off for years. You could be Muslim 10, 15, 20 years and never know the tashahhud. Or never took the time to learn it because you weren't being quizzed on it. No one's going, hey brother, let me hear your tashahhud. Sister, come here. Teach everybody, here's the book. Read the book. What do you mean read the book? Teach them. So he says, harfin aw tartibin. If a person removes a letter. For example, I prayed in a masjid here in this city. My son and I, we were praying in a masjid in this city. And the imam, he said in Al-Fatiha, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in. This is what he said. Instead of saying Iyaka, He said, Iyaki na'budu. Iyaki. The difference between the two is you made Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to a woman, a female. When you say Iyaki, you made it feminine now. This changes the whole meaning. So I thought, you want to give someone the benefit of the doubt. So I talked to my sister, was that me? He said, no, it's all right. Instead of making a scene in this situation, since we knew it was obligatory for us to pray the Salat again. However, we didn't pray in Jama'ah because it wouldn't look good. So we had to pray individually, separately, so no one would catch feelings. If you say something to someone about it, perhaps the imam, he might get upset. He may want to argue with you. So you have to know who you're talking to. And as for the people that prayed behind them, they also didn't know, so it doesn't affect their Salat because they didn't know. But in these types of situations, it's important that you take the time to learn how to recite Al-Fatiha. وَلَزِمَ غَيْرُ مَأْمُومٍ إِعَادَتُهَا. And it says in this case, if you make these, if you're leading the Salat and you make these mistakes, then you as the one praying by yourself or the imam, you need to pray again. وَيَجْهَرُ الْكُلُّ بِالْآمِينَ بِالْجَهْرِيَّةِ. And when the imam is praying out loud, or the person is praying by himself, يَجْهَرُ آمين. You know, وَلَضَّالِينَ آمين. They make it loud. Not loud, but audible. You make it audible so it can be heard. You make it audible so that it can be heard. طيب. ثم يقرأ بعدها سورة تكون في الصبح من طوال المفصل. Alright, so after you recite, for example, for Salat al-Fajr, after you recite Al-Fatiha, then you should recite a group of surahs that are considered طوال المفصل, meaning from Surah Al-Qaf ila Surah Abasa wa Tawalla. I'm sorry, Surah Amma. Surah Al-Naba. So Surah Al-Naba up to Surah Al-Qaf. These are called Tiwal al-Mufassal, from these surah. That should be recited for Salat al-Fajr. And then it says, وَفِي الْمَغْرِبِ, and this is kalam of the scholars of the past, وَفِي الْمَغْرِبِ مِنْ قِصَارٍ. From Maghrib, for Salat al-Maghrib, it should be from the Qisar, the small surahs. From Surah al-Duha to Surah al-Nas. From Surah al-Duha to Surah al-Nas. And the awsatuhu, or the middle ones, is from Surah al-Naba to Surah al-Duha. Is that clear? So there are three categories with regards to the Salat and praying in the Salat. طيب. ولا تصح الصلاة بقراءة خارجة عن مصحف عثماني. And they mentioned that it is not permissible to pray with a recitation of the Quran that is not in the Mus'haf of Uthman. We wouldn't know that because all of the Masahib that we have are all the Mus'haf of Uthman, or the different Qurans of Uthman. ثم يركع مكبرا رافعا يديه. طيب, Sheikh, you ready? Alright, so now the Sheikh right here, he's going to pray for us and give us, as I explain this, he's going to demonstrate. Make sure you can see. So the first thing, the Sheikh, you nervous?
No.
Alright. Like, the first thing, he says, ثُمَّ يَرْكَعُ مُكَبِّرًا رَافِعًا يَدَيْهِ. So let's assume that you're in a position of Salat already. Alright? We went through everything. Now we're going to go to a different position. He already said Allahu Akbar from the beginning. He already did the dua al-istiftah. A'udhu billah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He recited Al-Fatiha. He recited a surah. Now we're getting ready to move to a different part of the Salat. So here, ثُمَّ يَرْكَعُ. So he's going to make ruku'. مُكَبِّرًا رَافِعًا يَدَيْهِ. So now he's going to make ruku'. So you go down to ruku', Allahu Akbar. He's going to raise his hands and he's going to grab his knees. Now he's very long, so it might not look like he's grabbing his knees, but he is. He's grabbing his knees, right? It says, وَيَدَعَهُمَا عَلَى رُكْبَتَيْهِ مُفَرَّجَتَيْ الْأَصَابِعِ. So his fingers are spread across his knees. His fingers are spread across his knees. مُسْتَوِيًا ظَهْرُهُ. So let's look at his back. His back here is straight. Is it straight? Yeah, straight. His back here is straight. So we want to make sure that His back is straight. While he's in this position, he says, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. He's going to be saying this in this position. The sunnah is 3 times, but it is obligatory to say it at least once. Thumma, and after that, he's going to Thumma yarfa'u ra'sahu wa yadayhi qa'ilan Sami Allahu liman hamida. Yalla. Sami Allahu liman hamida, and he's going to raise his hands. Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Now, we're going to pause right there. Do you mind standing for a minute? All right, turn the camera back. All right, so here's the thing. In this situation right here, we have another issue. Let me go back to him. Look, you see how his hands are? Huh? Some of the scholars, they hold the position that you can put your arms back like this, the way he has them, or you can drop them down to the side like this. And this is a statement of Imam al-Bahuti and his explanation of Zaad Al-Mustaq'ni in a book called Road Al-Murbi', for those who would like to research it. It says, وَإِذَا رَفَى مُصَلِّي مِنَ الرُّكُوعِ فَإِنْ شَاءَ وَدَأَ يَمِينِهِ عَلَى شِمَالِهِ أَوْ أَرْسَلَهُمَا. He says, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says that if the person that is praying, they come up from ruku', then they have the option. If they choose to, they can put their right hand over their left, or if they choose to, they can let their hands drop. There was a time years ago, many years ago, brothers would consider other brothers to be innovators for not putting their hands down to their side. Yes or no? Who remembers those days? You remember those days. Those days are gone, alhamdulillah. When knowledge comes, we have to respect the knowledge. This is the kalam of the scholars of the past, not our kalam. Alhamdulillah. Right. So then it says here, when a person, now for the imam or munfarid. So we'll turn it and then we'll come back to it in a minute, inshallah. For the imam and the munfarid. Whoever the imam is, when the imam is praying, he says Allahu Akbar, he goes down to the ruku' and he comes back up. The imam or the one praying by himself, he says aloud, Sami Allahu liman hamida. Not for the ma'mumeen. So if you're praying behind the imam, it is not for you to say Sami Allahu liman hamida mala as-sama to the end of it. That's not your responsibility. Rather, this is the responsibility of the one leading the salah or the one praying by himself. He says Sami Allahu liman hamida ba'da qiyamihi. And then once he stands up, he says Rabbana wa lakal hamd. This is for the imam or the munfarid. The imam or the one that is praying by himself. And the one that is imam or praying by himself, he can add mila as-sama'i wa mila al-ardi wa mila ma shitta min shay'in ba'd. He can make that additional dua if he wants to. However, if you are praying in congregation, meaning you are ma'moom, you are the one being led in the salat, then it is only for you to say, when the imam comes up, you say Rabbana wa lakal hamd, and that's it. It is not legislated for you to go beyond it. And this is according to the school of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. And for those that would like to research, if you can, there are many books that explain the school of Imam Ahmad. Right. So now that he raised back, we're going to go back to you, inshallah. We're coming back. So now that he's back up, right? Now he's looking at the place of sujood where he's going to make prostration. Then it says, ثُمَّ يَخِرُّ مُكَبِّرًا سَاجِدًا عَلَى سَبْعَ أَعْضَاءٍ. Now he's going to go down into sujood. When he goes down into sujood, don't go yet. Before he goes into sujood, we must understand one thing. When he goes down into sujood, there are 7 limbs that need to touch the ground. There are 7 limbs that need to touch the ground. So, what he's going to do is, the first thing, and he mentioned them in order. This order here is the order of Umar ibn Khattab, Abi Hanifa, Sufyan al-Thawri, Imam al-Shafi'i, and other than them. And this is the school of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. And also, in modern days, many of the ulama in Saudi Arabia, in particularly, they pray this way. They pray this way. So the first thing is rijlayhi. The rijlayhi is his legs. Thumma rukbatayhi. So go down slow. Yeah. Turn to the side. Bismillah. So the first thing you're going to do is go down on the knees. Boom, do it slow. First thing is he's going down on the knees first, right? Then after he goes down on the knees, he's going to put his hands down. Boom. Then he's going to put his forehead on the ground, and then after his forehead, he's going to make sure his nose touches the ground. This here is the school of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. And also, pay attention. What he's doing is his feet are touching in the back, and his knees are spread apart. His stomach is not touching his thighs, and his arms are not touching his side. If you can see here, it's spread out. See how it's spaced there? This is specifically for the men. For the women, on the other hand, their arms should not be on this side. They should be what? Close them in. Close them in, and the legs will be closed in tighter. This is the only difference between the men and the women with regards to going down into sujood. Is that clear? Any questions?
Yeah, about a woman, the legs still open.
No, they're closed. Yes. Yes. Well then. Tight. So we're gonna, now you could just wait right there. MashaAllah, we got them working.
Please, make this clear for the women.
Huh? Well, we didn't get to the women yet, because we're going to get there at the end. Well, we'll go ahead. You got it. Since you stopped me, go ahead.
Now, the legs come together.
You mean like in this sitting right here?
No, during the sujood.
During the sujood?
Yes.
Tayyib?
I just want to know the difference between the men and the women.
So we're going to get to that towards the end. So in the sujood, the arms are going to be together and the feet are going to be closed in. It's going to be tighter. It's going to be tighter in. For the men is open. But the feet are together.
Like this.
Yes, inshallah. For the most part. Tayyib. So then, the 7 limbs are what? The feet, the knees, the hands, the forehead, and the nose. So there was a time, I remember years ago, a brother was praying in the Salat, and he had glasses on. He said, brother, I can't pray with my glasses on. Has anyone ever heard that before? You heard this before? Why do people say they can't pray with their glasses on? Because your nose is bigger than your glasses. Why do people think that you can't pray with your glasses on? Some people used to believe that you can't go down in the sujood if you got something on your face and it might touch. This is incorrect. Some people might say, I remember there was a time, years ago, if you had a kufi on your head, you had to slide your kufi back so your forehead could touch the ground. Sah? Who remembers that? Remember those days? That's batil. It's incorrect. It's incorrect. Rather, you can go down on sujood with your kufi over your forehead. There's nothing in Islam that prevents that. But what you are not allowed to go down on is your hand. Let's say, for example, it's dirty outside. You say, man, I'm going to go down to sujood, but I'm going to put my head on my hand because I don't want my face to touch the ground. This here is incorrect. But if you have a piece of paper, you say, man, it's dirty, I'm going to just grab this sheet of paper and put it down and just make sujood on the paper. Labats. Well then. Is that clear? Any questions? Tayyib. Yeah, if you have paper, you have rug, whatever, you can make prostration on top of that.
That's outside, right?
Outside or inside? Doesn't matter. Tayyib.
When I was in Africa, I learned that the uranium with the mode of Salat, they have something special in their body. They put it down in this sujood on it. Anyway, can that go along?
Now, it depends on why are they doing that. If they believe that it's some type of religious practice to do that you must have a piece of paper, this could be a bid'ah. No, I don't know about the small rocks. See, where is this at? In Africa? Iran? Oh, Iran? Hey, Shia, Yahi. They're Shia. That's what the Shia do. Listen to what I'm saying. This is why it's important. Whoever is teaching the class, they got to know the people they're talking to. I'm not familiar with that, so I can't speak. Now, the Shia, I'm familiar with the rocks. This is not legislated. But if you start talking about people that pour out a piece of paper, and this is what they do, and they have a piece of paper with them all the time when they pray, there might be something else behind that. So you might listen to me and I say it's no problem, but in reality, it's something behind that it's a religious reason why they're doing it. And then the brother said it was okay. I don't know the details of that. I'm from here. I know what the people do here, so I'm going to speak about what they do. In your country, why they do that, I can't speak to that. But I'm going to say this. In general, there's nothing wrong with putting your face on something. Why are they putting their face on that? I don't know the details. But in general, there's nothing in Islam that prevents that or prohibits that unless there's something behind there that you're not telling me. Well, then?
I saw people when they can reach sujood in the ground, they have rock and the masjid. Sometimes they sujood with rock.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
that.
Yeah, I've never heard it.
I'm talking about here.
Yeah, you seen it here?
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. Type. Okay, so let's finish. All right, so while he's sitting up, so you just came up from ruku'. I'm gonna get back on. He just came up. His hands are on his thigh, on his knees like this, on his fakhiday, right? Fakhiday, on his thighs. While he's sitting there, he's saying what? Subhana Rabbik fili. What's he saying? Rabbik fili. Ahsant. What are you saying? Rabbik fili. Look at that, I'm getting tongue-tied. He's saying Rabbik fili, right? وَيَسْجُدُ الثَّانِيَ كَالْأُولَى. And then he's going to make sujood again. The second one like the first one. The second one like the first one. Right. It says, ثُمَّ يَرْفَعُ مُكَبِّرًا نَاهِدًا عَلَى صُدُورِ قَدَمَيْهِ مُعْتَمِدًا عَلى رُكْبَتَيْهِ إِنْ سَهُلًا. Now this may be difficult. Now remember, all right, just come straight up.
Come straight up.
Go down, and he's going to come straight up. Come straight up. Yeah. All right, but your hands would have been on your knees. All right, so now we have an issue with this. You can sit down, Sheikh. You can sit down. We're going to talk about this. We have an issue with this, all right? So the issue is the following. Some people, they're of the position that when a person yanhut, meaning in the first rak'ah, there's a jalsa istirah. Many of us understand that after the second sujood in the first rak'ah, you sit calmly and then you stand up. How many people are familiar with that? Everyone. Sorry? Everyone's familiar with that. No problem. This is a position. However, many of the ulama, they say that when you're in sujood, you come straight up like what the brother just did. Yanhut. Some of them say, well, wait a minute, brother. We have narrations of the Prophet ﷺ, and he had jalsa istiraha. He rested before he stood up. So why are you coming? Because why are you doing it this way? So when you look through these issues in great detail, these issues are very detailed. So when you look at these issues, you find that the ulama of the past, they explain all of these narrations together. Some of them say when the Prophet ﷺ was younger, he would come straight up. And as he got older, he began to take a rest, and he would begin to do this. This is khilaf bain as-salaf. This is the difference of opinion from the scholars of the past. This should not be something that we are differing about today. Well then, right. So then, he came straight up. In sahula. And this is why they mention in sahula, if it is easy. If it is easy to stand straight up, then you stand straight up. If it's not easy, then you use your hands to get up, and so on and so forth. The next one, وَيُصَلِّي ثَانِيَةَ كَذَلِكَ مَا عَدَّ تَحْرِيمَةً وَالْإِسْتِفْتَاحِ وَالتَّعَوُّذ وَالتَّجْدِيدِ النِّيَّةِ. And so he says for the second rak'ah, so all of this was the first rak'ah. All of this was the what? The first rak'ah. The second rak'ah is similar, except that you do not do the takbir al-ihram. You do not do the first takbir al-ihram. Meaning, you know, when you come up, you say Allahu Akbar, that's fine. You're already in the salat. You don't have to do the takbir al-ihram to enter into the salat again. You also don't have to do the dua al-istiftah. You don't have to say subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik to the end of it. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. And you don't have to have your knee again for the second rak'ah. Rather, the knee was for the first one. But now we're going to talk about how is he supposed to sit with his feet. So you got to turn around so the people on the camera can see feet. So turn around the other way, inshallah. All right. So now it says, ثُمَّ يَجْلِسُ مُفْتَرِشًا وَيَدَاهُ عَلَى فَخِذَيْهِ. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at here, we're going to look at his feet. Look at his feet. If you look at his feet in the back here, move up some this way, Sheikh. Towards the, yep, just like that. If you look at his feet, his left foot is on the side and his right foot, turn your right foot up some, Sheikh. Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's the best you could do. But some people, they can go all the way up higher than that to the end of it. But that's how it should look, right? Okay, so while he's sitting like that, since he's facing the wall, I want to show you how the hand should look when a person is about to make the tashahhud. The first thing, we have 5 fingers, right? Each finger in the Arabic language has a name. The pinky is called the khansar, the ring finger is called the bansar, the middle finger is called the wusta, the pointer is called the sababa, and the thumb is called the ibham. So, yaqbidu khansar wal bansar. So you're going to take your pinky finger and your ring finger, you're going to lock them in your hand like this. Then you're going to take your wusta, yuhaddiquha. You're going to turn into a circle like this. And then you're going to have your sababa, which is your pointer, out this way, facing this way. When does a person put their finger up? There's a lot of kalam on this. There's a lot of speech from the scholars of the past on it, but we'll keep it general. When you mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it says you raise it miraran. You raise it. You also raise your finger again when you get to the tashahhud, when you say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna muhammadan rasulullah. Many ulama, they mention when you make the tashahhud, you should raise your finger. You should raise your finger. This is mentioned by many of the scholars of the past to the end of it. What do you say? What is the tashahhud? The tashahhud, ikhwan, we're just going to recite it briefly. Like I said, this is not a class to teach the tashahhud. We can do something else. We can get Brother Abu Sajid to teach the tashahhud, inshallah ta'ala. But it says, yaqulu. So a person says, at-tahiyyatu lillahi was-salawatu. Actually, we have something online that teaches a person how to recite the tashahhud. If someone does not know how to recite the tashahhud, we have a recording online that you can probably listen to or download to listen to the proper way to recite the tashahhud. So it says, يقول التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. This is considered the tashahhud al-awwal, the first tashahhud. So let's say, for example, we're praying Salatul Dhuhr, Salatul Isha, any salat where there are more than 2 rak'at. Any salat except for Salatul Fajr. So for the second rak'ah in Salatul Dhuhr, what we just mentioned is the tashahhud al-awwal, the first tashahhud. The first tashahhud is what we just mentioned. طيب. ثم يقول اللهم صل على محمد. So then the next, for example, the last raka'ah, you're going to add to that first tashahhud. You're going to add to it, and this is called tashahhud al-akhir, the last tashahhud in the salat. So you're going to start off by saying Allahumma salli. Now there are many different narrations. So don't say, oh brother, I know a different one, or I heard a different one, I studied a different. It's okay. It's okay. They're different ones. It's no problem. He starts off by saying, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama salayta ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid wa barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. This is it. This is the last part of the last tashahhud. Once a person does that, what comes next? يَسْتَعِيذُ مِنْ عَذَابِ جَهَنَّمْ. After they do the first and second tashahhud, they're going to seek refuge in Allah from the punishment of the hellfire. You're going to seek refuge in Allah from the punishment of the hellfire. And then once you do that, you're also going to seek refuge in Allah from the punishment of the grave. Because as Muslims, we believe that there is a punishment in the grave. We also believe that there is punishment in the hellfire. So when a person prays, he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect them from the punishment of the hellfire and to protect them from the punishment of the grave. And then after that, he says, وَفِتْنَةَ الْمَحْيَا وَالْمَمَاتِ. And there's also fitna. There's a trial in this life. And we ask Allah to protect us from the trials in this life. And there's also a fitna when death comes. And we ask Allah to protect us from the trials of death. وَفِتْنَةَ الْمَسِيحِ الدَّجَّالِ. And we also ask Allah to protect us from the fitna of the Dajjal. When the Dajjal comes, we also ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from that. And after that, he says, وَيَدْعُوا بِمَا وَرَدْ. And after that, we make dua with the different ad'iyah that have been legislated. Now here's an issue that some people may not be aware of, but I have to mention it because it's an important issue. Some of the scholars, they say that while you are making this dua at the end, you do not ask for things in the dunya. So for example, you don't say, oh Allah bless me with I would like a brand new car. I want a big house and I want to get a big check. This is in this part of the salat. A person should not ask for that. In fact, there's a statement that this actually nullifies the salat. There's a position that this actually nullifies the salat. However, there are also a group from the ulama that say no, this doesn't nullify the salat, asking for the affairs of the dunya. Allah Ta'ala a'lam, and Allah knows best. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just giving you that information to make you aware. ثُمَّ يُسَلِّمُ عَلَى يَمِينِهِ السَّلَامُ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَةُ اللَّهِ وَعَنْ يَسَارِهِ كَذَلِكَ. And then that person gives the salams on the right side, and then he also gives the salams on the left side. وَإِنْ كَانَ فِي ثُلَاثِيَّةٍ أَوْ رُبَاعِيَّةٍ نَحَدَ مُكَبِّرًا بَعْدَ التَّشَهُدِ الْأَوَّلِ وَسَلَّمَ بَقِيَ كَالثَّانِيَ بِحَمْدِ فَقَطْ. And so it says, if a person is praying 3 raka'at or 4 raka'at, yani what they're saying is, as long as you're not praying Salatul Fajr, as long as you're not praying Salatul Fajr, for the 3rd raka'at in every salat outside of Salatul Fajr, you are only required to recite Al-Fatiha faqat. Only Al-Fatiha. What does that mean? So say for example, we're praying Salatul Dhuhr. You say Al-Fatiha in another surah. For the 1st raka'at, the 2nd raka'at, Al-Fatiha in another surah. Then you do the Tashahhud al-Awwal. Then when you stand up for the 3rd raka'at, you only recite Al-Fatiha. The 4th raka'at, you only recite Al-Fatiha. Like this. Wadah? Tayyib. And then it says, ثُمَّ يَجْلِسُ فِي التَّشَهُدِ الْأَخِيرِ مُتَوَرِّكًا. Alright, mutawarrikan is another way to sit. We tried it earlier and you had some trouble. Your Shaykh, who wants to show us how to sit mutawarrik? Tayyib, fadda. So the Shaykh here, he's going to show us how to sit mutawarrik for the last raka'ah in the salat. Turn around, face that way so that people can see. For the last raka'ah. Aywa, ahsant. Okay, turn around this way so that people see on the camera, like that way, face that way. So, no, he's not that old, mashallah. May Allah preserve the Shaykh, mashallah. But if you look at how his feet is, this is called mutawarrik. Mutawarrik, how his feet are placed. This here is a sunnah. This here is a sunnah. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. May Allah reward you, mashallah. May Allah reward you. Ameen. Tayyib. So it says, وَمَرْأَةُ مِثْلَهُ لَكِنْ تَعُمُّ نَفْسَهَا وَتَسْدُلُ رِجْلَيْهَا فِي جَانِبْ يَمِينِهَا. And the last part, it mentions about the women in particular. When the women pray, their prayer is just like the men. When the women pray, their prayer is just like the men. However, تَدُمُّ نَفْسَهَا. However, she keeps everything close in like we showed you guys earlier. And then when she goes down, she puts her whole body or her legs to the right side instead of doing the mutawarrik and like this at the end. She will put her whole body to the right side, or janiba yaminiha. And with that, alhamdulillah, we finished the description of the salat. The next thing, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to cover is ma yukrahu fi salat. What are the things that are hated to do in the salat? Not haram, hated. We're going to cover the things that are hated to do in the salat, not haram. And then we're going to, we'll probably cover that, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, next week. And then we'll continue with that. Any questions?
Yes.
Fadda.
So what's the length for the Ameen?
The length of the Ameen, how long should it be? Allahu Akbar. Ya Abu Sajid. Ya Abu Sajid. Kam mudda ya Sheikh. And the Madri. Huh? How long is the Ameen? Madri. I don't know. What are you talking about? Ameen, like this? At the end of the, how long should it be?
Yeah, because
I don't know. Allahu Akbar. Madri. I don't know, Sheikh. That's a good one. Let's look that up, inshallah. Now, Fadda.
The last tashahhud, when you finish the salat, you cannot make
That's different. No, so when you look at, mashallah, he says, so we can't say, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. This is in the Quran. It says, make dua bima warad. And I'm glad you said that. It says, yad'u bima warad. Yad'u bima warad. This means make dua with that which has been legislated. That dua has been legislated. So it is legislated for you to make that dua. What they're saying is, and I'm not saying I follow that position or don't follow that position, I'm just giving it to you. What they're saying is, do not make a specific dua. I want this red car with the brown leather seats. I want this black car. I want this. I want that. They're saying you don't make that dua in that part of the salah. You don't make dua like that. Now, however, some of the ulama say la. They say no. Rather, you make dua for whatever you think about when you're in that salah. You make dua for whatever, and Allah knows best. The only reason why I mentioned it is because some of the ulama say that this nullifies your salah. So I would feel, if I didn't mention that, then I would feel if somebody came across that, you can come to me and say, but I read somewhere that enough. I just want to give it to you, you process it how you process it. I'm just saying, I think I don't want to be negligent for not mentioning that. It's a potential that some scholars believe that it nullifies your salah. Well, they fight.
For the sujood, for the man, the elbow is supposed to come out like this, or supposed to be close to the
No, for the women it's supposed to be in, for the men the elbows to come out.
Sometimes when people praying.
Okay, Mumtaz. No, la isma. When a person is praying like this, your hand should be facing the Qibla. Your toes should be facing the Qibla. You should not put your arms like this. It should be like this, facing the Qibla. Also, when you're praying in Jama'ah, you do not want to harm your brother or your sister next to you by putting your arms out to the side. This is also harmful. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam said, La darar wa la dirar. Huh? La darar wa la dirar. Anyone else? Any other questions? No.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. You had a question. Question.
The fourth,
I'm sorry?
the
The first tashahhud. Hey, what?
are you allowed to raise your finger?
So we talked about raising your finger.
Because I have an elder brother always tell me you don't have to do that. It should be only once.
There's some difference of opinion. Some say anytime you hear the name of Allah, you should raise your finger and be on it one time like this. Some of them say when you hear the tashahhud, you raise your hand and leave it up. Some say you harriku, yani you move your finger like this. Okay. Some say that it's allowed to move it like that. Okay? No one from the Salat, from the earlier scholars, said if you move your fingers like this, you're an innovator. You're going to get punished. We have great scholars of the past that did this, and we have great scholars that did that. And no one said that they were wrong, they should follow our way, or they should follow my way. We don't find any of that from the earlier generations. Now
you say the two tashahhud.
yes, tashahhud al-awwal and tashahhud al-akhir.
Tashahhud hour.
Hey, you what?
He said after the first two rakah.
Yes.
Then you got the tashahhud hour.
Yes.
Just tashahud, but you don't have to do any.
No, this is why I made a distinction. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. This is the beginning of the tashahud al-akhir, or the last tashahud. Yeah, so you're going to do the first tashahud and the last tashahud and the last tashahud. Yeah, the last raka'ah of the salat. Tfadda.
My question is, on the last scene,
Mm-hmm.
you found that you rest on the left side of the body. For the woman, is the same?
Yes, the women is the same, except that they're going to rest on their left side, and their legs and everything is going to be on the right side, and they're going to be sat in, closed in like this. Okay? Now, tfadda.
Now
It's cool.
now for the Iqamah.
Oh, it's time for the salat?
No. This is my question. So once the imam is inside the masjid, right, and then they call for Iqamah, and then the muazzin is waiting at Al-Thamaraat Salat, and then the imam is already, just from one house. We have to wait for the Al-Thamaraat Salat, or we just,
I don't understand the question.
The question is that we posed last week.
Okay.
Some people stand when they say come to Salat. Some people stand when they see the imam come in. It's kind of important for the Salat itself.
So, according to the school of Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal, when you see the imam, then you should stand. However, there's also a position. When you hear قَدْ قَامَتِ الصَّلَاةِ, then you stand when you hear that as well. قَدْ قَامَتِ الصَّلَاةِ, you stand. Or when you see the imam, you stand. Depending on the imam, what he prefers, and whatever the community is familiar with, then you go with that, inshallah.
my question is the imam is already inside.
So if the imam is in the musalla, right?
The imam is in Musala, and then we sit right now. So we have to stand up, come to the Iqamah, we have to do the Al-Thamaraat Salat.
I'm confused.
On the proper right.
Have this one? The imam's already here. Allah. I mean, either whatever the people do. I mean, we have two positions here. You can stand when you see the imam. You know the imams. If the imam is sitting on the carpet like everyone else, and we know, hey, it's time for the salat. So the muazzin stands up. Everyone to stand up if they see the imam. You can stand up, or you can wait qad qāmat as-salat. You have ulama that say this, and you have ulama that say that. None of us here are of the level that's be like, okay, this is what is more correct. I'm not built like that, and you're not built like that. You can't sit here and go, no, this is more correct based on all of these evidences that I read over the years, and I compiled all the. You have a position that says this, you have a position that says that. So you go with whatever you feel. See the man right now. You see that? That's the hurry up. we're gonna stop the class, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.